Hey, what's up, Dean? Safe Performance. We are back. It's been a while. Just been cranking out work. We got the Turbo Firebird back. He went to the track, made like 4 passes. Um, Best pass was like a 1020, but I am pretty sure. I know the car is pretty much out of gear. It had 411s in it. Um, so that's one of the reasons he's back. And I would guess to say, because he's having an issue pulling the data log, so I couldn't ever really look at a data log. But I would say the car's not building more boost. It's not commanding the boost that we're wanting it to command. Being that I tried to use the compressor source. You can't really see. I tried using the compressor source to the Mac valve as our dome pressure, but I'm pretty sure that was not working. So we've added a bunch of stuff, and I already did most of the work. Well, I don't know what that is. Oh, I do know what that is. That's all the heat shield falling off. So I added well, let's start with this. It's an On3 turbo kit. We already knew that, which isn't horrible. It's a decent fitment. What I don't like is the turbo's really small. The turbo's in front of the radiator, so it just gets all the heat of the radiator built into the compressor. I swapped the fans, and that's pretty much the location the fans are on. So it's just blowing all the radiator hot air right onto the compressor and the inlet tube. So it's just going to overheat the air going into the motor, which means we got to pull timing, which means you can't make as much power. The belt is getting eaten up more and more. That's probably an alignment issue, as always. I mean, it's other than the alternator, it's all factory. No, they're all ICT billet. Okay, I should have looked at that. Anywho, and what? Which could actually be it rubbing the turbo bag. Yeah, it's actually getting hot. So there's another downside to the turbo sitting there, is the back side of the housing. You can kind of see it through there. There you go. Like kind of, sort of. There. Is that close to the belt. So it's heating up the edge of the belt, and it's just eating it alive. So he has plans to change the turbo kit and do a bigger turbo, but same with everybody. Money's not it's not just paper. Got that from Lewis. But yeah, we're moving along. He still needs, we still need to address the drain issue for the turbo, how it kind of goes somewhat level, which is not good. But yeah, I put bigger fans on it. He picked these fans up. These are Proform brushless fans, and they bolted right back into place on these brackets. It's got a little bracket down here, and then it has a shroud up top. Not a shroud, but like a top of a shroud, kind of. So that's where his fans are mounted, and it looks like it did have like a shroud kit, and somebody just kind of cut it out to make the other fans go up higher and fit the turbo kit, because he didn't do the like push the radiator forward trick that everybody does in these cars. But one other thing I don't like is this charge pipe, which I noticed it last time, but they accommodate the horns, which to me is kind of goofy. You'd think you would move the horns. You could literally take them and flip them up. So I think if I get time, I'm going to, and if I have the tubing, I believe I do, but I have to look. I might have given it away. I probably did. Looks like I did. Now I have a box up there. Let's see. What size tubing's in this box? Anybody guess? looks like 2.5. So I think that's 2.5. Yeah, that should be good to just do a quick tubing change, basically. All I need to do is change out this not enough of a 90 just to turn it up and then go straight into the intercooler, and that'll keep it above, because he did get the panels. These things are, I don't know what these are, some cheap plastic panels. I don't know who makes these. I think I might have sent him the description for these. Oh, there you go. Liantuo Corporation Ltd. Liantuo something. But we don't have the centerpiece to connect to the two of them, so it's kind of pointless to even have those. But I'll at least get this up and out of the way. No idea what this is. Oh, this is for the headlights, I bet you. Right? No, they're mechanical. Where are you going, little hose? Where's that little hose going? I have no idea. If somebody knows what that is, let me know before I find out what it is. It's going up into this harness here. Huh. So maybe it's like a little vacuum canister or something. I'm gonna assume we don't need it. I will trace the line up. But anyways, anywho. So I got the fans on. I brought the center section to Jose, JB Mods, and he swapped the gears. We went from a 411 to a 323. Because I can almost guarantee you this car was running out of gear. I would bet it was in the higher RPMs before he was going through the trap. So we got all that. I did the subframe connectors. So these are like half bolt-in kit. So you're supposed to bolt it back here, and then you weld it up here. I don't remember the brand on these. The box is on the floor flattened, but I will say they should have been made a little bit different. There's one thing, suspension engineering. Yeah, box is on the floor. Brilliant. They should have made these brackets a little bit longer and then slotted this hole to allow a little bit of forward and rear movement on it. You can see there's like a gap under here. Then there was a gap, a little bit of a gap here. So this was a big gap that you could see. I did the old filler. That was a big gap on that one. So slotting that bracket would be able to push it forward, and there's nothing in the way of pushing it forward. But they're as welded in as I can get them. They're fully welded, you know, around like that. And then I tried to get a little up in there. You can't. And then I shot them with some red, but it's fully welded except for the top. You can't weld the top. I did here a little bit, but come down over all the way around. Oh, I missed the red. Oh, damn me. Put a little tack on there, you know, try to get as much weld in it as I can. And then I did notice that this torsion bar, you can kind of see right here, has a little dink. So definitely gonna destroy this factory one soon. Not trying to, but we ordered coilovers. We got some strange double adjustables coming for it, and they're like bolt in, so they'll just replace the stock shock, and then we can get rid of this street spring. It's like a BMR SP003RD. That's more of like a road course style spring is what I found, because he's got a bunch of good stuff on it already. He's got the upgraded Panhard, upgraded lower link bars, the adjustable ones, you know, the 9-inch from Quick Performance with the big 35 spline axles. He's got all of that. The other thing that we looked at was the front brakes. These drag massively. So I know with a little bit of heat, the pad will open up a little bit, but they drag a lot. So I sent him a link to TBM brakes. And I also need to, oh man, I'm like a squirrel today. But he's gonna try and get a set of TBM brakes soon. It'll cut down the weight a lot. I'm trying to find like a billet spindle for the front. I found a couple. They're lightweight. They say lightweight, but I don't know what that means, lightweight, as far as these. I know on Jeff's truck, his S10, we did the billet, TRZ billet spindle, and that whole combination was 26 pounds lighter. So I would imagine if he did a better spindle and lower control arm, like a tubular lower control arm, we would probably be able to cut 50 pounds roughly off the front end with the TBM brakes, which would be good. I mean, the car kind of yanks the wheel. I'll put the other video in here of how bad the car twists up. So the other thing I did, I noticed the axle vent didn't have a tube on it, and I think I had seen it last time, but I don't know why I didn't correct it, I guess. So I ran the tube up as high as I could get it above the filler neck, and then for now it's just hanging. I got to put a little P-clamp. I'm gonna do like a little P-clamp on the back and have it, just in case it spews, it'll be behind the tires instead of over here. There's a chance it could spread, and that might be what was, the gear fluid was everywhere. Also, these 4 bolts here are the tank. It's a little 2-gallon air tank that we put in the back. And I'll show all of that when I get the car down. But for now, I'm gonna put the axles and the brakes all back together on it, and then the rear end is done. I think he got a new torsion bar. He sent a picture, but I don't know if he has it or not. So I may end up having to take all this back apart. Hopefully not. Hopefully I could just knock these 2 bolts off and put the new one in. That would be nice. So yeah, we shall see. But I'll finish putting all this together, and then I'll come back. All right, so I got the anti-roll bar in, and something I didn't think about is with this 9-inch, it's much longer or much lower than a factory diff. The factory diff, I would imagine, would be like somewhere in this area. And being that this has like the panhard bar bracket welded all the way to the back, makes it even lower. So I had to take and just kind of rock the cups back a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything. The brackets are welded up to the frame rails, if that's what you want to call them. They're all in. I made the links the exact same length. Got everything together the right way too. All the bolts are going the same way. The length, the bottom are the silver right-hand thread, left-hand thread on the top. So that's all said and done. Yes, this isn't under the axle. anti-roll bar, which normally I don't prefer, but in this case, with the Panhard support and the factory fuel tank, there's really not much of an option. And I don't know that I would trust welding an anti-roll bar into this tin. So I think it would have had to have been something that was way more thought out, that attaches up like in the corner, has a bracket that attaches or something and comes off. It would have to be a little bit of a different thought out anti-roll bar. So this one's fine, and yes, it hangs low, but if you look at where the tire is, you know, the tire is a good 6 inches below this bar. So whatever the tire goes over, the bar is going to go up. He doesn't off-road the car, he drag races the car. So that won't be an issue. It should help with everything, and my mind is freaking out right now because I'm just trying to think. Yeah, never mind. I was just trying to think, when we put the coilovers in, how do we keep the diff from twisting? But that's what the torsion bar is for. So, never mind. Cancel that thought. That's done. Other than filling the diff with gear fluid, everything under the car is done. I lubed it all up, both ends. I might go through and lube up his pivot arms, lower link arms, whatever you want to call them. I might do that, but everything else is done under here. The fans are all wired up. I got these wired. They came with a green wire too, because you can use a controller, but it says it's only meant for their controller. I'm sure you could do it with the Holley, but I'm not even going to do that. Tomorrow, I'm going to get the box of tubing down, and tomorrow I'm going to take this coupler out, take the joint out from there, and remake this pipe. What I'll probably do is I'll probably use all new tubing, because there's no point in cutting this one off and reusing it. But I'll probably use new tubing. And what I was actually thinking is, this kit is actually kind of a little bit dumb, in the sense of this joint could have been flipped over. This 90 could have been turned down and shortened, and brought in between here, and you leave the horns right where they are. So you move this pipe in, and you take some length of pipe out of the kit too, which is always good. So that's what I'm going to work on tomorrow, is just getting this pipe moved over, shortened up, moved over, and I will probably remake this 90 a little more of a 90. And that'll tuck it up, get it to where it's, you know, you can see it hit something here coming off the trailer. I believe it hits, so we don't want that. Yeah, this side's 3-inch. Almost looks like that clamp is not fully tightened, but I guess it is. Hasn't blown off yet. And then I'll get the gear fluid in it and start playing with the boost control stuff. I have to let the car down, or I have to at least climb up in there. I left the, so let me get a ladder. Hold on. Okay, so here's the tank, and I put a pressure switch on the tank, and that runs the ground for the relay that's mounted over there. Oh, the other thing I gotta get is an inline fuse for the power feed. And then the compressor, the little compressor, I had this thing laying around, I don't know where it came from, is actually bolted right up to this piece of plastic. It was here, don't see it, don't know where it went, but this piece of plastic is on this side, and you can see the two bolt holes. It literally bolted right up to those bolt holes, so that worked out pretty good. I poked a hole in the back carpet, ran the wires through, taped up the switch wires. There's a regulator on it that I have set to 60 psi right now. The only problem with this setup, it has a minuscule leak in it, and it is dropping the pressure, and it's not a key on. I don't have a key on source back here, so instead of trying to run a key on wire all the way from the back, there may be one somewhere back here, but I just ran it basically directly to the battery. So every time it leaks down, it triggers the pump on. So I got to disconnect the battery, and I think he disconnects the battery regardless. So, I mean, I don't have to disconnect the battery. Technically, I could just disconnect that, or I could just disconnect the pump. So that it doesn't run his battery down. Comes on like every hour and a half. It also has a little ball valve on here. But the regulator, I think it's making, I think, max duty cycle, max pressure. You guys can read it. 105 psi. So it makes 105 psi. We don't need 105 psi. Honestly, we probably don't even need 60. Yeah, you can see the gauge leaking down. So there's definitely a leak on the regulator side. And I don't know. It's probably the regulator, because it's a cheap piece of crap. I don't know. Or it could be the MAC valve. Not sure, but it's just a minuscule leak, you know, on that side. So we're gonna leave that for now. I did set up the Holley to have 60 psi. We probably don't need 60 psi to put on the dome. Probably could just use like 40. That way it'll save some of the air, and the leak will be slightly less, I guess you could say. So it's probably what I'll do is I'll probably turn it down to 40, set the Holley up that way, and off we go. So once I get the gear fluid in it, it'll be good to test. Well, I gotta clean up my crap. I got crap everywhere. And then an update on the Nova. Jim has the transmission all pulled apart. He's working on getting... He's working on getting the upgraded, like, sun shell and some other pieces to go in it. And something with the lockup he can do. They could do it internally, I think it is. I can't remember exactly what he was saying about it, and I don't remember. So that's his deal. He's the guy. So hopefully we'll have that back, get that swapped out, get him his car back, and hopefully he could drive it. We just went through a nightmare with it. I put the new carburetor on it, and then ended up putting a distributor in it because his cap and rotor are like blowing apart. So if you look inside, there's no button inside the cap. That's a bad way to go. There's no button in there, and it looks like it exploded, because it did. The rotor's blown out. The rotor's in the box. So I actually just bought the same distributor, put it in, and the plugs were absolutely fouled, and he put these plugs in. So that was the carburetor issue he was having. I got to change 2 more that are just impossible to get to. But I got to change those, but I'm going to do all of that and finish tinkering, tuning his carburetor and all that stuff. But for now, that's it for today. I'm going to leave it off here. Appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of new videos. Leave me a comment. It's always appreciated. Have a good day.